Hey everybody, welcome to Real People Real Estate, where we sit down with real people right here in Western Massachusetts doing awesome things in real estate. And today I am joined by two awesome guests. Micki and Lisa are here today from Next Chapter Cleanouts with the new branded swag if you're watching on video. So welcome. How are you doing today?
Thank you. Great. And having this opportunity to speak with you again, because I was a guest a month or two ago.
Say, you really just want the punishment coming back for more. And
to have this platform to announce and talk about Next Chapter Cleanouts.
Awesome.
Very pleased to be here. So thank you.
Oh, absolutely. And yeah, so for our listeners, check out, I think it was episode 14. Was local expertise with you.
That's
so
right.
All things real estate. So learn more about Micki by tuning into that episode. And Lisa, you want to tell us a little bit about your background? We'll do a mini bio.
Yeah, sure. I actually recently retired from a long career in human resources.
Okay.
Most recently, I was the head of human resources at Wesleyan University in Middletown, Connecticut.
Awesome.
And have done that for several years, but was ready for a little bit of a different path and a career change, and so ended up with Next Chapter.
Next Chapter.
Yeah,
so we
the next chapter of my life.
Yes,
right?
exactly. So we have expert real estate agent, expert HR person, and how did this business? Well, tell us about it a little bit first. And how did it come about?
The inception. Quite literally, it was cleaning out my barn.
Okay.
And we're going back early fall, and it needed some attention. And we took our respective strengths and tackled that barn in quick and no-nonsense fashion.
I love that.
And it was fun.
Yeah.
And it was, next thing you know, we're thinking about, maybe this is a need, a niche we could fill. And then I quickly thought about my mom and how I had challenges transitioning my mother into assisted living in this area. And I had to go back and forth on the highway. My brother and I had to plan visits. We had to kind of hunt and peck for experts in the area because we were not from that part of Eastern Mass. And it was a challenge.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, how nice would it be if there was like one person I could call, a clearinghouse, a local clearinghouse where they had these connections and make that one call and say, can you help me? But we had to kind of do it the hard way.
Yeah.
And fast forward to now, or a couple months ago, and I'm starting to go to listing appointments and counseling my clients on how to transition themselves. And that's not just transitioning from a house you've been in for 50 years and going into some type of assisted living, but it's any.
You mentioned your barn.
It could be me. It could be a 25-year-old moving into a new place from an apartment.
Yeah.
And that's part of, that's a part of our branding. Next chapter. It's about any time you're in this phase of life where you need help going from one place to another, quite simply. And when I sit down with my clients, almost all the time now, is what do I need to do to prepare my house to list? And invariably, it comes down to stuff.
Yeah.
What do I do with this? What do I do with that? Who do I call for this? So I was already doing that and counseling my clients. So it just made sense to pull it all together and put it under one little roof.
Absolutely.
And help people that way.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is augmentation of my business and what I can give my clients.
Yeah.
And it's local. Again, I'll say that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, and
So
you
there you
said efficient and quick and fun and no nonsense.
Yeah.
I mean, that's huge because it can feel really daunting. I'm thinking of certain areas in my own home that I look at all the time and I'm like, this is
You mentioned the playroom.
Yeah,
you mentioned the playroom.
The basement, the playroom, the closets, all those little spaces. Yeah. So what do you envision maybe would be some of those common areas of clean out?
Yeah, I mean, and I think you're right. It can be so overwhelming, whether it's, if they have an external building on their property, a barn, a shed, a garage that's just become really unwieldy, or it's their home and they've got a basement.
Those barns, I'll tell you.
Yeah. Or a guest room, or just a storage room that has become their catch-all for all of their things. Or it's just they've lived there for 50 or 60 years and they have homes, they have a lifetime of collectibles or things that they really want to think differently about. And so, we recently worked with a client who was in that space where they had lived in their home for several years, One of the couple was getting ready to transition to long-term care. And so what do? How do we think about making that move and then potentially getting our home ready for sale? And so we were able to not only help them transition into the care facility, but also begin a conversation with them about all the space within their home and what do they do with all of these things? Because it can be really overwhelming, especially for a person who's lived in their home for years. It's emotional. A lot of times, many times they have children, adult children, who have opinions or thoughts or feelings about the stuff.
Us children never have feelings.
And
parents never have feelings either, right?
Exactly. And so all of those non-feeling people come together and say, what do we do? And so we feel like we've been able to, because of our own personal experience with loved ones, family members. I have a brother in long-term care, I have a brother-in-law in long-term care, and I saw them make that transition and what their spouses and their children went through, finding someone to help them at the time when they were so emotional about that move in general. And so I think we are able to not only do the physical piece of that work, and we have some folks that we work with to come in and help us, but also just to kind of take away some of that worry and that stress of getting my house ready for sale or making a move or cleaning out the barn, cleaning out the attic, whatever it might be. Sometimes we have clients that are in between tenants in a rental, and we can go in and get that cleaned up and ready for the next tenant for them as well.
So describe the differences. You already have quite a bit, but just between somebody who's thinking about moving, calling a moving company versus someone thinking about moving or making a transition and calling you all.
And calling us. And sometimes both things happen, right? It's not either or, both things can happen. And so certainly for some folks that are very well organized, and perhaps maybe they've done this before, and it's as easy for them as picking up the phone and calling a mover. But for a lot of folks, especially those that have lived in their homes for a number of years, they don't have that experience. I think of some of my older siblings who haven't moved for years. I'm like, where do I start? And so that's when I think we feel a real need to coordinate all of that and say, well, we need to think about this. Or I've got a couple of movers that I've worked with in the past. Micki has a wealth of contacts because of her real estate business. So we can pick up that phone and immediately know who we're speaking with. And sometimes we can get a better pricing for them if they work through us. And so it does, I think, make it a bit easier for folks that perhaps haven't worked through this process before, or at least not for a long time.
So you're really convening all of those pieces.
We use the word concierge. Everybody's situation is so different and varied, and it's changeable too, even within the process. So we have consultation, free consultation, and we go over and we just assess needs in a very casual, welcoming format. And then that can change, and next conversation it might be, well, we actually think we might need you helping to help us go through some of these boxes. We'll dive right in. Or they might say, well, I did get my son to come from San Diego, and he's going to help us do that part, but would you please coordinate the middle part and maybe even the end part? So every job is approached, every client is approached very independently, and the construct of the contract is all about them. What do you need? Sometimes it's very light services. Other times it is from A to B to C to Z, all the way to Z, and what they need, including most recently too, last week or the week after, Lisa actually went in and did measurements of an assisted living facility room to help a loved one measure and pick furnishings. I mean, that's very detailed, kind of loving experience, I think, to help somebody with that kind of fine tune. Like, what can go? Can that bedstand go? Can they both go? Making sure the list, and this is again just about the assisted living part of our business, but what from the list is going? Beds, bed linens, shampoos, how much clothing, what type of clothing? Because that's so emotional. They're already so emotional about those types of transitions, the loved ones that is, that to take somebody that's kind of outside the process to really lend their heart and their hand, I think is a huge need.
That's huge. You've talked a lot about the relationship and emotion side of things. And Lisa, I'm going to look at you with the HR background. I'm assuming that, do you have some superpowers that you're bringing into the scenario to help navigate that?
I think that for both of us, the work that Micki does in real estate and the work that I've done in my career, it's really not as much about the transaction or the business of what we do, but it's really, we both have such a heart for helping people and trying to ease the burden, if you will, the stress level, the confusion sometimes for our clients through Next Chapter is really what motivated us to do this. Because again, there are folks out there that they can come in and move your household items, they can pack your dishes, they can get rid of your belongings, whatever. But I think what sets us apart is certainly the localness of our business, but also why we approach it in the way that we do and why we started it in the first place. It's really to make sure that to the best of our ability that we can help folks who are going through what for some is a pretty challenging part of their life.
Absolutely.
And so in my career, it was really about helping people be successful in the workplace. So I take that interest and that ability, being able to organize and help people sort of think through to the next step, maybe look behind them a little bit, but certainly looking forward for them. I'm pretty good at that, and I like doing that again because it's so fun to be able to help folks and to know and to hear from them that, gosh, you made this so much easier.
What a cool way to keep helping in such a tangible way too. And then, Micki, do you have any stories from your local expertise side of the puzzle on any ways that you felt like you could really move the needle for somebody where maybe that wouldn't happen if they just called some national company?
So that was kind of the third aspect of what I talked about earlier, is that it kind of was like a light bulb moment for me. It's like, wow, there are so many conversations I have when people are prepping their house for sale about the need for these services. And it's coupled with the fact that I think that people either have busier lives, or their children are farther away, or their grandkids are very involved in other things, and they might come over and help on a Saturday afternoon, box some china or separate some books from a bookshelf. But what's necessary is that very continued and intentional process, and I think that's where it falls off for some families. And it's so kind of comforting for me now to go into a listing appointment and I can talk about the services I can provide, kind of in a clearinghouse. It's under an umbrella, and I can give them visual representation in forms of a website or materials for them to really understand how I can help, and how we can help, and the business can kind of simplify, yet keep it personal, in their what their goals are in their move.
Well, having that third party, that outside person being you all to keep things moving, because I don't know how many times I've tried to open up my junk drawer and start to organize, and that never gets done. So nonetheless, the rest of the pieces of the puzzle.
And Lisa enjoys that.
It's super fun.
It's super fun. Okay, you heard it here. Everybody call for the junk drawer.
I think one thing, what you said is spot on, because you look at that drawer, you look at the closet, you look at the attic, and you're like, oh my gosh, I need to tend to that, but I'm so busy doing other things or getting ready for this event or this move or that move, that it just falls by the wayside until kind of that 11th hour, and then you're rushing. And so again, we can help. When we meet with a client, we talk about timelines, like sort of where are you at in this part of your journey in this next chapter. Like for instance, I'm meeting with someone this afternoon, and we've been talking with her for a couple of months now, actually a little bit longer, about this process. And she was super interested, but not quite ready. It was still a struggle for her, and it still is, quite frankly. And so, hey, you know what? You let us know. We're not going to bother you about this. We're not going to bug you. But you call us, and we'll be here to help you when you're ready, and then we'll work with you through that process. So we'll have an appointment this afternoon and start to timeline some things out, find out how we can help her in the best way possible. And then she really gets, she gets to drive that bus, so to speak. But we're there to encourage her and to help her, because this is a big challenge for this person in particular. It's a very, very big life decision for her to make this move.
Well, and we hear about it all the time in real estate, people who are in their homes and they've been in their homes for years. I was just speaking with a woman the other day, and she's in this huge house on her own now, but is so emotionally attached to the property and the memories and the life, and it's tricky to be able to navigate that.
It's often tricky, and because it is emotional, but what we've experienced ourselves, I think, in our own lives, and then the lives of family members and friends and family, that others that we've worked with, is that once they get through kind of decluttering, if you will, or making that move, there's this sense of relief, of kind of going, oh my gosh, I hadn't realized how much of a burden sometimes. And that sounds like a harsh word, but we don't necessarily do our family members any favors by leaving all of this stuff for them to deal with, especially if you're transitioning into long-term care, for example.
Yeah, sure.
And so can we help make that a little bit of a lighter journey for the rest of the family, for the children?
Right.
You know, and many times the answer to that is absolutely yes. We want to try to do that.
Yeah. Speaking of all this stuff, I noticed on your handout here that you had mentioned about storage units. So that's a really interesting angle, because people do sometimes just, I'm going to put it in storage. And whether that's a storage unit or a basement or a garage or a relative's house or whatever, and then it sits there. So any stories where you've helped someone work through like that external storage feature?
We'll go back to my personal experience.
Over here.
I'm not at that point yet where I'm really downsizing in my life. However, I had found that I had become the caretaker, or it was in my possession, all my family's memorabilia, whether it was quite literally an antique baseball glove from like 1920 that was my grandfather's, to all the historical, you name it, it was in bins. And I had kind of just said, I'll take it. Well, it became overwhelming.
Sanderson Family Museum
history.
That
kind of was that. And it was just recently that, you know, if I'm going to walk the walk, I have to talk the talk, or the other way around. But the point being is that I have to tell you, it was cathartic. And to get rid of things and make decisions with Lisa's help was really unburdening. And that's the best way I can think of it. And similarly, I have 3 children that I'm not going to leave a burden to. And they're not going to be hunting, looking through these boxes, like saying, what is that? Should we keep it? Should we not? I've made that decision. And I quite literally went from about 20, 30, 40 bins. You can correct me if you want.
Wow.
bins and boxes to 3. 3 or 4.
So what's the secret? Can you spill any tips or tricks on the secret of how do you look at something and decide, does it stay or does it go?
And there are so many tips and tricks, if you will, strategies, but I think for every person it's a little bit different. And what I often talk about, and I did this with Micki too, is and we've read this, right? We've certainly heard this, but does it bring you joy? What is the memory that it evokes? Why, right? When is the last time you looked at this? Did you even know that it was in this bin? And so just having that really simple conversation sometimes is helpful. And she was a great example of several clients that we've worked with to say, you know what, I'm good. I saw it. I remembered it. I it evoked this memory for me. I'm good. Let it go. Or sometimes we say, if you haven't looked in that bin for a long time,
15 years.
Don't even look at it.
Right.
Do you really need to look at it today? So we really think carefully and intentionally with our clients about their own path. And because everybody's different. I have a sibling who is in this space where she really needs to downsize, and she's not ready yet, but I imagine that when I work with her, it's going to be, I want to touch every item, I want to look in every box, and then I have another sibling who'll be like, just take it. I don't care. I haven't looked at that box for 20 years, just take it. So everybody's a little bit different.
A really concrete example was I had many boxes of framed photographs of my kids, especially from 0 to like 8 or 10. And with some direction, there were some strategies there. So instead of keeping it all, because every picture I knew exactly where it was taken, who took the whole thing, but it was lovely to go down that lane. But it was also great advice to, and this is a concrete example, but it's definitely pertinent to all the other decision makings that can go on. Pick 10 photos of each child. Your favorites, whether it's the memory or the look on their face, and set them aside and keep those. And then if there comes a day, perhaps you don't even want to keep those, gift those to your children. And instead of 150 photographs of each child, you have 10. And then they can decide what to do with them. But that really that was great advice. And again, very happy with the result.
That's awesome.
And it just feels good.
Yeah, and that's the bottom line that I'm hearing resoundingly from both of you is it has to feel right.
Yeah.
And you've got to be able to make your own steps with help to get there.
Yep, it's very personal.
Yeah, I love the seeing the tangible item, but then realizing that it's the memory connected to it, and you always have that memory. Or maybe you journal it. I don't know if that would be I'm thinking of this for my own.
And I think that's right. And sort of creating sort of another visual reminder of these great memories. And so creating a journal is one way to do it. And that's such a great gift for your kids as well, or other loved ones to say, here's a journal, versus here are 75 boxes of journals.
Good luck with them.
But the other thing that we were able to do, I think, with Micki and the work that we did in your attic was not only go through everything and pare back, but then what about disposal? And so that's something that we work with clients on too, is I'm going to get rid of all this. What do I do with it? And so, we were able to work through that process, as well as that's something that we can help our clients through in their next chapters to say, you've done a great job cleaning out, decluttering, organizing, but now what do we do with all of these things? So sometimes we work with clients to sell some maybe pieces of furniture that they want to try to market. We can do that. We have some vendors that we can work with for antiques and things like that. We can have them come in and do an assessment. Sometimes it's just take the stuff to Goodwill. Sometimes it's put it on Marketplace and try to sell it. Or just dispose of it. Don't even tell me what you're doing with it. And so we're able to offer that assistance as well.
And instead of that being 6 or 7 or 8 calls, it's one call to us. And we do all the coordination. And there are times that Lisa has met the vendors or the professionals on site for the client because they're at work or don't want to. And that's a relief to some people.
And it sounds very a la carte. I mean, it seems like if I was just like, look, I never want to look at my playroom again until it's pristine. Go do it. You can handle everything. Or versus, no, I actually really want to look at every single piece of artwork the kids did or whatever.
And that has to be okay. Because it's certainly not a part of our personality and or our responsibility or our job to say to you, no, you need to get rid of this or you need to do it this way. Because everybody approaches that differently. And what we found is that, and we're sort of like this too, if you push us, then we'll just dig our heels in, right? It's like, and my sister's like that. If I push her, she's
funny how people are like that, right?
It has to, it has to happen on her timeline.
Yeah, definitely. So if somebody one of our listeners or viewers felt like there's something that they can have cleaned out, they're in need of some help, what does that first conversation look like? How do you start?
It's a great conversation just to begin with. How can we help? What is it that you've been thinking about that you might need some help with? And I can be pretty prescriptive when they say, well, my basement has gotten pretty unwieldy. I'm like, well, let's go down to your basement and take a look. And I just walk through with them their home or their basement or their attic or their barn, whatever it is, and just tell me. And sometimes, it's pretty obvious when you can walk in and go, right? Like, this is what you need to do.
Probably don't say that, right?
No, you do not.
Oh my goodness. Nope. That could be a funny
Exactly, Though sometimes you're prepped by your client to say, there's a lot going on here. But it's really just walking through the home or the space with them and just listening and asking a few questions. What is it what's your end goal? Are you getting your house ready for sale? Are you moving? Are you just wanting to clean out? What does that look like? What's the end result? And then we can work backwards. We talk about timelines. We talk about what is it that I can do to be helpful. In other words, do you want me just to come in and do it? Do you want me to work with you and help you as you do it? Or a combination of both of those things. And so it's a lot of kind of, how do we get you to your end result? And then what are the steps that we can go through that feel comfortable for you? That's really important.
And it's the listening, and this is an offshoot of obviously what I do as an agent when I'm listening to clients and what their needs are. And it should be gentle, it should be soft, it should be, because what I think a house needs when I initially walk in is kind of objective.
Right.
But when you listen to somebody and you say, and I will say to them or ask them, what is giving you the most stress right now?
Yeah.
And oftentimes it's not what I think it might be.
Yeah.
So you listen and you get the feedback.
Right.
And that's an easy thing to tackle first based on what their needs are.
Right. I was, as you both are speaking, I was thinking about our interview that we did in our prior episode and the needs, wants, and wishes list that you always talk about and listening. And it's very, very similar, very parallel experience. Well, thank you both for being on our show today.
Absolutely.
Any last expert advice as far as organizing, clean out?
I have one.
Okay.
Do it sooner than later.
Yeah.
Do it sooner than later. Don't wait until it's imminent that you have to move. It's okay to do a little bit when you're 35. Do a little bit more when you're 45.
Yeah.
Your needs change. Your living situations change.
Right.
Don't be in a situation where you have boxes and boxes of bins and a barn full of furniture and then have it be incredibly overwhelming. Yeah. So that is my
great
number
advice.
One
Absolutely.
tip.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. And call us. Don't try to tackle it yourself.
So next chapter cleanouts. Yeah. What website address? What is that again? We'll link it.
It is next chapter dash cleanouts.
Perfect.
.com.
Okay.
Yep.
Awesome.
And all of our contact information is on our website. They can call. And they can get to us through our website.
I'm
they can
on
email.
Facebook and Insta.
Perfect.
So
you're
Google
everywhere.
away, we're there.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Lisa and Micki.
You're
This
welcome.
was great.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for our listeners and viewers who tuned in to this episode of Real People Real Estate. We hope you were inspired by the story from Next Chapter Cleanouts, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.